Love and trust are not synonyms. Love and trust are not synonyms. I've come across, both personally and with other people, a resistance or a struggle to really understand, and I'm talking fully embrace this idea of like loving everybody. You know what? Everybody's fine, but how about loving your enemies? Like loving the people who did you filthy, the people who abused you, betrayed you, abandoned you. Love? How? But I think that's where we don't maybe fully understand, or even if we do understand, we're not clearly defining these terms. You ever seen one of those paragraphs where literally every word is misspelled, but yet you can actually still read it because of what the first letter and the last letter of each word start with? So, like the word seven is spelled SVEEQ, then an N, but you can still read the word seven, and on and on and on. Point is, your brain is able to recognize, oh, I know what this word is, and it projects whatever its definition to help you discern and, understand what you just consumed. So my point in that is, I think sometimes we say the word love and our brain projects whatever it thinks the definition of that word is. And I think that's where we got to be really clear. And that's why I said love and trust are not synonyms. Because I think with the purest intention and motive, we think love is a neon sign of right this way, access to me, my life, my trust, my hopes, on and on. That's not what it means. You can wish the best for somebody. You can love, you can not be preying on their downfall. You can want them genuinely to do well, because this idea that unforgiveness is some sort of thing that you hold over them. No, the old saying goes, unforgiveness is like drinking poison, hoping the other person dies. It makes no sense. It essentially diminishes the sovereignty in which you can rule your own emotion. Your emotions being the cloud, you being the sky. They're just things that are passing by. Now, if you can't forgive, you're letting the cloud become the sky. And now all of a sudden you're yielded to what should have just been a wisp. And so I'm saying this to say, I think a real big inflection point, a watershed moment, is when I uncoupled love and trust as the same thing. A lot of things made sense. See, even the scriptures, you're not called to just blindly trust anybody. And I'm not even saying I have some sort of, or that anybody should have some sort of Herculean, you got to climb Mount Everest to earn my trust. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm open and willing to trust people until you give me evidence otherwise. And that's where we have to be wise and discerning. But even those who have betrayed you, you can still love them. That doesn't mean they have access to you. And I think that's the hinge where people lose it, because we're not maybe equipped or haven't actually zoomed in enough to see where love ends and trust begins. And so we zoom out and think it's some package deal. And because smartly we're not willing to trust somebody who has given repeated evidence that they're untrustworthy. And I'm not talking about trivial things. I'm talking about the um, real sins against another person. If you're not willing to acknowledge what you have done, apologize, and seek to make amends, that is okay. That is your prerogative. It's not okay, but I am okay with that notion that some people will choose not to do that. That is actually information that helps me understand you are not somebody that I can trust. Let me say that one more time. There will be some people who, because we're all human, do things wrong, or even out of more nefarious reasons did something wrong to you. If they are unwilling or incapable or have resolved to not acknowledge what they have done, apologize, and work to make amends, that is just a fact that I cannot control or change. It just is what it is. But now I have a choice of how I respond. And that response, I am resolved as much as I can. I will love that person, but that does not mean I will trust that person, because trust is now what opens the gateways to access to the presence that I hold. And I am not willing to have people in close orbit that I cannot trust. So, discerning the difference of those two, what love and trust is, they're not a package deal. They're often correlated with each other, but you have to know where one stops and the other begins, so that your posture of love can be almost the umbrella aspect or concept in which you move about this life. Because the energy it takes to not love somebody is not a good ROI. It's just not. So seek to love everyone, but be discerning on those you trust. So again, just wanted to pop on here and give that as an encouragement. As always, anytime I show up on your feed, my goal is simply to give you something to feed on. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.